Welcome to She's Not Unique, where our mission is to provoke thought around our social circumstances and situations, all while rocking our inner light. I'm your host, Tiara.
I'm Keisha.
I'm Slim.
I'm Shanika.
I'm Kimber.
Okay, and as always, we're going to start with our deal breaker.
Okay.
All right. So, ladies, the deal breaker today this is for ladies and men. If you're dating someone and you guys are about to get married and they say, well, both of your parents are healthy. All of your parents are healthy. And they just say, I do not believe in taking care of, parents in the home. And I do believe that when parents are older and they are, in need of care, that they should go into like a facility, a nursing or assisted living facility. Would that be a deal breaker for you?
Initially, I say yes. I say yes initially,
Okay.
But it depends on the circumstances, right? So if that parent is in a medical situation that is beyond the scope of the care that we can provide, I would say then they should go to a facility. But I just have a problem with the demanding. Like, you don't say something cut and dry across the board. Everything is circumstantial.
No, but for him, he's saying like he's not gonna take care of
He
his
don't
mom
care.
or his father.
No, deal breaker.
Your mom and your father.
Deal breaker. I'm very family oriented and deal
I'm
breaker.
very
Deal breaker for you, Kim.
Deal breaker.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
deal
don't
breaker.
know.
One for deal breakers.
Yeah.
I
What about you,
mean,
Nikki?
I think it would be a deal breaker for you just to tell me that. But as me taking care and being a caretaker, I have already told my children, like, if I get to the point where I'm not in my right mind or things of that nature, please put me in a nursing home and just come visit me or some nice facility. For the simple fact is, I just feel as though, like, listen, as a child, you're underneath your parents' roof. You only have this limited amount of time. By the time you get to maybe 30 years old, or maybe 25, 30, then you're now married, taking care of children. And then by the time your children are getting grown, then you have to turn around and take care of your parents. When do they get to enjoy their life? So I'm gonna say, just because you propositioned me like that, I'm gonna say
For his mother and father too.
I know, but
That seems
it-
cold.
And we
It
don't
does,
know. We
right.
don't know. Your parents may never need care. They might
it may be
outlive
right.
you.
That's true.
But that's the point. You don't know what'll happen
right.
in
But
life.
just
It's
for
no
you
way
to
to
just
tell
be
that.
thinking that way, just from, I think that once we get to that step, if it ever needs to be, then we can discuss it. But just for you just to pre-plan it and say, hey, I'm gonna have to say a deal breaker then too.
Okay. What about you, Keisha?
It's a deal breaker.
It's a deal breaker.
It's a deal breaker for me. Yep.
What about you?
It's not a deal breaker. 'Cause the first thing that comes to mind is compromising, right? And if he was to tell me, like, how he roll it out, he want, to have our parents in a facility, I would just do my research and find like a good facility that they can go in. But the first thing that comes to mind is compromise.
Okay.
So it wouldn't be a deal breaker for me.
So let me back up and ask this question.
Okay.
Is he saying not only is he not going to take care of his parents, but he's not going to support you
Not that he's
in
not
taking
gonna
care
take-
of your own parents? So say he's going to put his parents in a home. Is he also saying I have to put mine in a home too?
Yes.
He's saying that
No
no
parents
parents
get to
live
come.
in the
Okay,
house.
it's a deal breaker.
It's a deal
Okay,
breaker.
It's a deal breaker. Yep.
Yeah.
It's a And deal to me, breaker. it's a real red flag also.
Yeah.
Because that is a
Positive
very
red flag.
callous mindset. Yeah. But it also lends itself to what was his upbringing? What
Yep.
was his relationship with his parents?
Yep.
It's a lot of questions I would have, right? And then
Yeah.
it also lends me to think that that's not the first type of demand or suggestion, if you will, that he proposed that was on that
No,
line.
But I think that that's something that's really left out of conversations when you
Mhm.
get married, right? And I think it's left out because people don't think like that. They don't think, but some people may have grown up. Maybe they saw their mother taking care of their
Mhm.
grandmother. You don't know where that thought process comes from. And they may feel like, you know what, I don't want to impede my life with that extra burden. And maybe they are financially set to put them in a nice place. Maybe they're going to have caretakers take care of them, but maybe they're just saying, it's not to say that your parent can't come visit. I don't know if it's a deal
Well, they
breaker.
could be jealous. I mean, they could be jealous of the relationship. I mean,
Jealous, but it goes for them as well.
yeah, but some people just want you all to themselves. So to me, when you have that selfishness
Sounds like a red flag.
and
That's a
that
red flag.
jealousy, then that means to me
But
it's a red flag.
I will find out why,
Yeah.
why they're
Seems
saying
like it's some
it, why they're
some family
asking.
issues there from upbringing. Yeah,
but
it's a deal breaker.
But I do
Deal
think it's
breaker.
a
Deal
conver-
breaker.
I do think it's a conversation that should be had.
It should be.
And I do think that it's something that people do not talk about, like, because somebody may not want your mama there. Like, it could be where as though, I'm not trying to be funny, right? Like, it could be where as though you could say, okay, this is, I want to take care of, parents if that happens. And then he could say, okay, well, that's fine. And then his mama could get sick, right? And then he's like, well, my mama got to come here now, and she needs a lot of care. And now you're maybe burdened with his mother in the house, and your mother your mother and father may never need care.
And
so
that's fine.
I think
that's
Yeah,
fine.
that's
But the
fine.
person that would ever propose something like that, especially for me, I'm like, everybody know I'm a big family person, right?
Right.
So that's the whole problem. It seems it's really selfish. It seems very callous and cold-hearted. The person that gave you life and supported you all through life, you're gonna say when they're in a compromised predicament, they can't come into your house.
Right.
Yeah, that would turn me off. I'm sorry.
What about work schedules?
But he's not. But he's not even saying. He's saying it before it even happens.
Yeah.
So it's not even that you want to do it. You have a heart to do it, and then when the situation presents itself,
Yeah, it's just
for
shut
whatever
down
reason
from
you
the
can't.
beginning.
He's saying from the beginning.
Yeah.
This is something I'm not going to do it.
Like, how can y'all be mad at that? That's clear
No,
communication.
No, it's a red
I'm happy
flag.
you let me know
Right.
because it's a deal breaker.
So
It's
right?
an alarm.
Because
Ring the alarm.
Yes, ring the alarm. Yes.
Because
I don't
we took
know.
care of mommy, we took care of daddy. Like,
Yeah, 'cause who's
so
not-
for me,
yeah.
it would be, like,
Yeah, I mean, I'm not
'Cause why
going to turn
wouldn't
my
you take
mother and
care of your
father away,
parents?
Yeah.
but I don't. I'm not going to turn them away because it's not saying that your mother and father can't come stay with you.
And here's
or can't
another
come
thing.
visit if they're part of the
They
family.
still there.
But they're still there. But I think
But
it
they
would
said-
be.
but
He's
they
saying
are
you can't
saying
take
when
them in
you
their
can't take
time of
them in
need.
their time of need.
Yeah.
Exactly.
so
And
I
this
don't
brings
know.
itself to another thing that we probably have not talked about yet much on this show when we're talking about marriages and relationship, which is premarital counseling.
Yes.
These type of things come up in those
They
sessions.
need to.
And they
They-
need
yeah,
to
they need
because
to.
you never know in life what we all have experienced things that we did not see coming. No way,
Right.
form, shape, how. And you have to explore the what ifs.
And I think that's another point, though, Kim. I'm jumping off of that because what about it within your own marriage? So your marriage vows are for better and for worse,
Yeah.
right? For when you're sick and when you're in good health. So my question would be, if you're not willing to take care of your parents, then what if something happened to me?
You also
Are you-
supposed to leave your mother and father?
Well, that's not what we're talking about.
I mean, that's the marriage vow.
No, we're not. We're not talking about. We're not talking about. So we're talking
You gotta
about.
go wrong. It's like, no, I'm only playing.
We're not talking about, we're not saying that. It's a completely
I
different
know,
situation.
I know.
So I'm saying if you don't have a mindset to take care of your own parents,
But
right?
maybe.
Wait a minute. Then if something happened to me, would you say, oh, you know what? She is sick now.
Right. That
and
makes me
I'm gonna set you off to the side,
But-
or if you have, God forbid, you had a kid that had like some kind of like disease
Yeah.
or sickness, and then that's not considered normal. Then is that person gonna say, oh, you know what? I didn't sign up for this either, and I'm
Mhm.
walking away? I think it's a character flaw.
Yeah.
It could be a red flag to a character
Absolutely.
flaw.
Absolutely.
Now,
Okay.
the only time, for instance, the only time I think it could be acceptable is if the person grew up with a very toxic relationship with their family, and they've gone through, like, the family is still toxic, but they've gone through and done the work of counseling, healing, and they've been healed from it. But because that parent or whatever is so toxic or whatever, that they're saying, listen, I love my parent, but they're so toxic
I get that.
I can't bring them into, I'm not gonna be able to bring them into the family. Maybe.
But you say that for
Maybe.
your
So,
parents,
yeah.
not my parents.
Right,
You don't
but you're
tell
right,
me
that's your parents,
what I'm
right.
going to do with my
Yes,
parents.
yes.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
so for me, it would be a deal breaker, especially if I was not financially stable. But if I was financially stable, I don't know, because it's not saying that my mom can't come to my house and stay for weeks at a time or stay for time. It doesn't mean that I can't take care of her. It just means that she can't live there permanently. So
That's what
I
I'm
don't.
thinking.
That's what he means. He doesn't mean she can come there for weeks. He's saying,
I would have to
taking care of your
clarify
sick
that,
mama.
but
So where's she going in the other weeks when she's not at your house?
This is what I'm saying.
Where's she
this is what I'm saying. It would depend. It would depend on the financial stability of him. Is he willing to, like Shanae said, research, like, what does this mean? Does it mean she can't come here? Because I would have to really understand what it is that it's meaning. Does it mean that my mom can't stay here for 2 weeks at a time? Does it mean that she can't stay for the summer? What does it mean? If it means that she just can't come there, then that's a deal breaker. But if he's saying, you know what, I have money and somebody's going to come take care of her and she's going to, it would just depend on the financial situation, how well my mom is going to be taken care of, and how often I could be a part of that, because I'm not going to forsake my mom.
Yeah, it would depend on if I'm moving forward in a relationship with you, because again, those things are very alarming for you to just, before we're planning on getting married, to tell me that my parents can't come in their time of need to our home. That just makes me feel totally uncomfortable with you.
But you know what? Here's the thing, right? So like, we take care of our mom, right? Okay. So let's just say 10, 15 years from now, we're taking care of our mom. We're in a situation. And we might be tired. Like, listen, I sacrificed my life. I took care of my mother. I'm tired. Now, I don't want to take care of anybody else's mother. You know what I'm saying? Like, I might be in a situation where I might feel like, at this point, I've taken care of kids. Like Nikki said, I've taken care of my mom. At what point am I stress-free? Wait a minute, I might not want my husband's mama. I'm sorry. I might not. I'm not saying that I would pre-think that, but that could be a person's situation where they're coming into it saying, listen, maybe I took care of my aunt, maybe I took care of somebody, and they just don't want to dedicate their life to that anymore.
I get that. But listen,
but it's still a deal breaker for me.
Yeah. Okay. It's a deal breaker because the same care that parent can get in a facility, you can have the caregivers come to the home and administer the same level of care in the home. That's since possible. He has money.
Well, I'm just saying it doesn't always have to be from an extremely selfish place. It could be from a place where a person has to look out for their own health, their own stress, their own mindset. And if you've been raising children, taking care of your mother, working, doing all of these things, you may say, listen, maybe their mother is gone. You might just, or their aunt, they took care of somebody. They might just say, listen, I'm done. I can't take on this responsibility.
But it's him saying that, unless he has done that.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, maybe him or her. I'm saying it could be a man
I'm sure
or
it would be
woman,
a conversation. To see where is this coming from. Like, why would you say that? But
it would be circumstantial for me.
Yeah, circumstantial.
So it wouldn't be a deal breaker, but it would be very circumstantial. And I wouldn't just say a person's selfish, but it would have to. I would not forsake my mother. Right. I would not just put her away and not see her. Yeah. Absolutely. But I would definitely be involved in her life. But I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know.
Well, all right. So pretty much a deal breaker for me. Shanae.
Not a deal breaker.
Not a deal breaker.
It's circumstantial.
Circumstantial, so not a deal breaker. Nikki.
I said it was a deal breaker.
Nikki's a deal breaker.
It's definitely a deal breaker for me.
Okay. Deal breaker for Kel. All right.
All right. So this gets into we're going to move on to our topic. Mm-hmm. So we were talking about relationships the last couple of weeks.
Okay.
And so now we're going to talk about, like, when you have that perfect relationship, everybody was so in love, and now you break up.
So you thought.
And now you break up.
Okay.
Oh, Jesus. And what do you do, like, after you break up? Like, how do you heal? How do you proceed? Do you just jump into a new relationship? Do you, like, what are some good tips for moving forward? And what are some of the emotions that we feel after that breakup?
All right.
Where we starting?
Yeah, go ahead.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, Nikki, who's going?
I'm going to tell you my trick. I believe mind over matter. Mm-hmm. So what works for me, I say 7 days of completion. So for me, I try to tell my mind, if I said before I love you, then I try to tell my mind that I don't, and that I need clear space. And after 7 days, I'm typically okay. I say my prayers. I ask God to remove that person from my. You're
bionic.
Ooh, hardcore.
7 days.
Right.
And like,
That's
you're
a
not
strong
even
woman right there.
Yeah.
Erase.
But that's the power of prayer. I really do
Mm-hmm.
believe if you ask God and you really believe in that, and then you
Yeah.
mind whatever you tell your mind. I really do believe that your mind it starts all in your mind. So if you be like, oh, this love, I just miss him so much.
Yeah, don't
Change
do
your
that,
mindset,
sisters.
right?
Don't do
Change.
that.
No, I don't. No, I don't do that. And then
Easier
and
said than done, though.
no, it really has worked for me. And then I think about all the reasons why we should not be together,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
So then that to me then outweighs all the good, right? So this the little things, yeah. And I write it down on a piece of paper. I do not like such and such any longer. I no longer,
No longer in love.
I no
in the brain,
longer,
right.
Oh, you ain't
Exactly.
playing.
Are you serious?
I'm for real. Now we'll
I changed the
fast.
name
And I
of
will
my phone to something that's just like.
No,
No,
you
I don't
come out
change
the
your
phone.
name,
You come
no.
out the phone.
No, I don't even have to do all that. And then you
Okay.
know what I
I changed the
do?
name
What?
of the phone.
Then I be hoping that they do call me to see how strong I am. You know, did it really
Oh, you
work?
wanna test.
Mm.
I want to test. And then once I realize that I am strong enough and I have passed the test, then I feel as though I have the power. And then I feel free to move on.
Okay.
So, yeah. I mean,
What
and
if they never call?
and they never call, I still feel free to move on. I prayed, I fast, I, cleared my mind. I
She
changed
wrote the
my
notes.
mindset.
She wrote the notes.
She wrote the
I
hate
wrote
notes after she prayed.
No.
I hate her.
No, I don't say I hate anybody. I have
Okay.
never
That's
said I hate
interesting. Okay.
anybody, but that's what I have always done. And I feel as though like then it leaves me free. I don't have any baggage. Like I don't be like, oh, men are the same. Or if I get with another
Yeah,
man, he's
yeah.
going to do
Yeah.
this. Like I'm just like, okay, it didn't work out. That's why I feed my mind. It didn't work out, and not go in relationships feeling that way. It's either going to last forever or you're going to break up. That is the two things that unless
But-
someone passes away.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the only two options that you have. So expectations.
Right.
Hmm.
All right.
Okay.
Right.
Tiara, let me hear this.
Well, I am a person that loves. If I love you, I love you. So
Okay.
I don't try to reframe my mind like I don't love a person. I'm okay with like loving a person and just being okay with like it didn't work out. So like I don't have hate. I've never really like had hate for anyone. Like breaking up with anybody. I don't have hate. I think that it depends on what the person has done or how the breakup is. If I've been betrayed,
Yeah.
those kind of like emotions, like the negative emotions of like betrayal or somebody lying, like that, I deal more not so much with missing the person. I'm okay. I'm okay. I don't like out of sight, out of mind with me.
Right.
But it's more so the emotion of like, did they lie to me? Did they betray me? I have to get over those type of emotions and resolve those type of emotions that I had opposed to so much like being angry at the person. Now I will, like if that person lied to me, I will change the name of the phone to like liar. So when they call me, so you know how like you had the person's name in your phone and you have like these emojis or whatever beside that person, and when you're on good terms, you wait a minute, no, like and you're smiling when they call, like, and then when you see their name again, you don't want to see that. Like if that
Yes.
familiar image brings like that good feeling, so I'll change it to like liar, whatever, betrayer, whatever. So then when they call, so if they do call, like I remember I'm in that space, but I'm
Right.
not like angry. I don't hate them, but I just remember, to not go to that happy space. You know what I mean?
And the people
Right.
on my phone are their name with their delivered from their unclean spirits.
Well,
and you,
yes,
and
I
you're
do.
calling
I
them
put
liars.
in there what they did. Now, if they
Oh.
apologize and we become friends after that, that's fine, But I try to change the name so that I'm not, looking at something, and if they call me, I don't have those emojis or whatever to remind me of like when we were on
good
good
times.
terms. Right, I just changed the name, but I think that you have to do the self work. You have to think about like what you did also, like in a relationship. You have to also think about like, sometimes we can think that we're really good people, and I think like for me, I think like I'm a good person, right? But being a good person doesn't always make you a great mate. You know what I mean? And
That's
I think
true.
for that person, and I think that they could be a great person too, but it might not just be meant to be a mate. So I'm never like really upset if somebody finds. This is one thing I say about me. I'm going to give you who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And if you leave, it's no more of me to give. Like, you know who I am as a person. Like, and I feel like there's no point in like really trying to get back together, whatever, because pretty much I've already showed you who I am as a person.
Right.
And if you didn't accept that or like that or that wasn't good enough, I don't take it. It's not personal.
Right.
You know.
Right.
What
So,
about you?
Can I share a story?
Sure.
Okay. So not too long ago, I was dating this guy, right? Tiara know the story. Dating this guy, right? So he came in a time where I was, mature, and I thought I was ready to be in love, right?
Right.
So we started dating. Everything was great, right? He was my type physically. He was the entrepreneur. He was raised by his grandmother. His grandmother was very deep into church, all that good stuff. And we talked about politics. We talked about religion. So we dating, and red flags start to pop up. Red flags like, I went to sleep at 4:00 in the afternoon. I'm like, say, what the? So long story short, I wound up finding out that he had somebody like in his life for 5 years.
Wow.
And I asked, and I'm like, I'm not a confrontational person. Like, you could have told me the truth. So anyway, so I found out, and I was very, very, very disappointed. Very disappointed. And I dealt with those negative emotions of disappointment, betrayal, deception, manipulation, all those things. And the night that I found out, I prayed for him and her. Because when I talked to her, she was telling me that she needs therapy from the stuff that they were going through, right? And I didn't, thank God I didn't need therapy. It's just like I just need to heal my heart. But the things that I was doing was praying, having good friends around me to help see me through, and I would just say, just pray. That's what I did, just pray.
See, that's what I just said.
Pray.
Oh, I pray too, but
But that number coming out my phone, like you coming out, right?
Yeah, something like that. Absolutely.
Yeah. But that's how I deal with it.
All right, Keisha.
What about you, Keisha?
I saved you and Kim for last.
I mean, see, listen. It's like we talking about a long time ago. So how I dealt with it a long time ago, it might not be
relevant if it were today.
It might, right, and it also might not have been like the right way to to deal with these things.
This is a no judgment zone. Go ahead, go ahead, share.
I mean, it might not have been the right way. I mean,
1982.
Share before Christ and then share after Christ.
Well, it's new Christ, but I don't know. I don't know if I should say. Listen, not that I've had heartache and I have had heartbreak for sure, but I probably did the wrong way. I probably just like moved on to like the next person. Like I probably just like I just started dating somebody else, and I'm like I think that for a long time I had the ability to kind of like shut off some of it and shut off some of the emotion and just kind of like, okay, I'm moving to the next, monogamous relationship, or like, so I thought, let's just move on to the next one. And most of the time, like I was the person that was like breaking up, right? Like maybe I was the person that was breaking up with you most of the time, and then I'm just like moving on to the next, or either you would do something and I would say to myself, well, you're going to miss me, and that's going to be your punishment. And I will wait until you missed me, right? And then you come like crawling back, begging back, trying to get back. And then that's when I be like, like I would. then
what you say, Keisha? What was it?
That's where my gratification would come. So I'm like, I didn't feel like, any hurt or pain. I would just move on. And then I knew, that the person was going to like come back and want to like make amends. So that's probably how I did it. But if I was to give advice, the way I would say that you should do it is you should probably ask yourself, like, what was this relationship like? What do I want actually in a relationship? Did this person also want the same things that I wanted in a relationship? Like sometimes a person is telling you they just want a situationship, and you're saying, oh, this is my perfect guy, I want to be in a relationship. And so you have to make sure what they're saying they want and what you're saying you want all match up. Then you have to sit, like what Shanae said, like you have to look at what they're not just what they're saying, but like their actions. What were the actions, right? So, and ask yourself, like, was I watching? Was I seeing that these actions matched up to the words? Was I setting an unrealistic, kind of expectation? Was I dating the right type of person? So, like, say, for instance, even if, like, I used to always say, I'm not dating any drug dealers, and I'm not dating, like, any, like, professional athletes, any people like that, because you have to ask yourself, what do you value also in, like, a relationship? So, like, for me, I value, like, loyalty, right? So, it's not likely that a professional athlete is going to be loyal in a relationship for the length of a relationship. So I wasn't interested in dating that type of person. Or if you're dating a drug dealer, then this person there's going to already be some deficits there, right?
Yeah.
So what kind of person was I dating, And so I think you should learn from each time and say, like, who was that person? Like Tiara said, also, what was I doing in, the relationship? What did I do? What did I contribute to it? And you need to take the time, like you said, heal, pray, talk to God, talk to your friends, you need counsel, that type of thing, and have people tell you, like, the real truth, and look and say, again, for the next relationship, give yourself some time to heal. And for the next relationship, set a goal. What do I want? If your goal is to get married, don't waste time with people who don't have a like mindset.
Right.
Don't try to drag somebody along, with you. Now, of course, there are some situations in which, people are just lying to you. They're tricking you. You feel like it's all clicking and you're going to get your heart broken. But I feel like if we use some wisdom, sometimes, not all the times, we can cut it out. But I'm gonna tell you a quick, real funny story. So I was dating this guy one time in Atlanta, and we used to do, like, stuff all together all the time. Like, go on the weekends, we would all go to his sister's house, and we hang out at his sister's house and everything. And then he started suddenly, like, on the weekends, he'd be like, I'm going over to my sister's house, and he wasn't, like, taking me with him. And so I wasn't going. So I knew I had started seeing, like, the change in the behavior. So, I had picked me up another dude, right, that he didn't know anything about.
Right.
And
back in the day.
right, this is back in the day. So I had me, like, another little dude, and he didn't know anything about it. And his sister called. His sister said, how come you're not coming over? She said, when he's here the whole weekend, you don't call, you don't check up on him, nothing. She knew what time it was, but he was so cocky and so busy trying to be slick that he had no idea that I had my own little situation. Like, I had a whole nother situation going on, and he had no idea. And she said, I know. That was my girl. She said, I know. She said, you're not even looking for him. I said, no, I ain't looking for him. What I'm looking for him for? But of course, I didn't tell her what was going on. But anyway, so move forward. We broke up. This is when I lived in Atlanta. He thought I had left Atlanta, but I packed up my apartment and everything. He thought I had left Atlanta, but I was not gone from Atlanta. I was still in Atlanta, but just staying at his sister's house, another one of his sister's houses. He didn't know because I was finishing school. I was in school. And so I was staying at his sister's house. And so one day he comes over and sees me there. And he sits down, he starts talking about my girl, she this, she that, she this, she that, she doing all of this. So I called my friend and I said, listen, such and such is here. He is wilding out. And I was, like, living at the sister's house. I said, I'm going to come over, to your house. So I go upstairs, Lord forgive me for the sins, but I go upstairs, pack my overnight bag. And I'm going out to I come down with my overnight bag. I'm going to the car because I'm going to go over to my friend's house. It took her husband, the neighbor across the street, and two neighbors down the street trying to hold this grown man back, talking about, where you going? Where you going? What you doing? What you doing? Where you going? What you doing? I said, no, you was just saying he's talking about your girlfriend. How great and wonderful she is. So anyway, I get in my car and I go, and, he left a long note in my Bible talking about how much he missed me and I love you so much. So he knew I was going to read my Bible. So anyway, I did, so I
all
was
this going on. She's going to read the Bible.
She's going to read the Bible.
Right, doing all this bad stuff, but Lord was going to get me together one day. So anyway, I just thought that was funny because sometimes the best thing that you can do is kind of just, like, walk away from it.
Right.
And not like keep pulling after somebody, somebody, just walk away from it. But
I just,
anyway, I thought
you
that
know,
was
one
funny.
thing I want to say is that I've learned over life. Like people will say, well, you know, I know he loves me, and I always tell my friends as I say, why wouldn't he?
Right.
You know, I think that we have to get out of the mindset of somebody loves you, because loving a person doesn't make you want that person, right? I mean,
treat them right.
Or treat them right, you know? And like sometimes we can get caught up on the person loves me. Love is not the end all, you know? I mean, like, so I always tell it should be, but I always tell my friends, like, well, why wouldn't they love you? Like, you're a great person, you're this, you're that. Why wouldn't a person love you? I mean, I think that, like, a lot of times people don't want to admit that they love a person, right? But the truth is, I feel like you're either going to love a person or you're just not going to be around a person. Right?
You can love a person but not like a person.
I'm talking about like a relationship.
No,
I'm talking
even
about
in a relationship, being in a relationship, you can love a person, you can generally care for them, but you may not like them.
You can love
so
them.
you can see the good like in the heart of a person. And I think talking to girlfriends a lot of times is also saying, hey, this is what somebody may love about you because you have a good heart. But then also you have to tell them this is what somebody may not like about you also, because, you know,
you can love a person and like a person, but you can be missing a connection or a vibe or chemistry with that person. And I think that can make you not want that person. And you can meet somebody else that maybe you don't even like everything about that person, but you have that chemistry with that person. And that person can give you a certain feeling, that it doesn't mean that the other person is a bad person, just not the person for you. So I always say, you know, it has nothing to do with love or like. It's just that person may not just want you. You might not just want that other person. So
yeah, if they don't give you butterflies and you know.
That's all right.
Joking, just kidding. Yeah, let me think back. I'm totally not in that space right now. But when breakups happen, I believe that reflection's important, evaluation, prayer, time. You know, I believe in like keeping busy. Like, don't just be in the bed, depressed, low, you know, can't get yourself together. You push forward like you would in any other unfortunate circumstance, right? But yeah, all of those things are important. I believe the time aspect, I don't think you should jump right to the next person, even though that is some people's process and it totally works for them. Totally works. Me personally, I have to give it some time. Like, I'm not going to just, because I would feel like I'm using that person like as a, you know,
as a rebound.
Yeah.
If you clean
all
your emotions in that 7 days.
Yeah. She said, wait a minute, did y'all hear
like
Nikki?
a detox.
She said, yeah, if you cleared all those emotions in those 7 days, and no, Nikki, I am not. No, those days can vary. But I believe it. That's her process. I believe that's T's process. You know, I believe that's Keisha's process. Everyone's process is going to vary. Right. I am just not like a fast turnaround type of person. And it depends on, you know, how that situation has left me emotionally. But yeah, time is definitely, you know, a big part of that, and just, you know, trying to push forward, making sure you're in the best emotional health just for your life, right? And then, you know, for when you know, move forward. But yeah, that reflection is very important. Like all the things Keisha named, you know, just evaluate, especially where we are in life right now. Right. You know, the age that we are, the things that we've experienced, where we are now. All of those things are definitely, you know, necessary. As far as the phone situation, whether you block, change names, all of that, I'm a blocker. I will block you. Like, it depends on the circumstance. It depends on the circumstance. Like, yeah, delete and block that number from being able. You've lost the privilege, especially depending on how we broke up or what you did. Look like just so you did. No. Yeah, I believe in blocking because that helps give that person some distance away from you. Yeah. And then another thing I believe in is removing all of the items that they may have gifted you, gave you, left at your house, whatever, out of sight, out of mind. Right. Because when you see those things, they're going to conjure up an emotional response.
So if they gave you a car, you're going to get rid of the car?
We need to go get a new car. We need to trade it in. Yes, get a new car. Yeah.
You know what?
What about they give you a dog? Are you gonna just like?
See, that's different. That's a living organism. Like, you know, no, that's different. But see, I'm not a pet person, so that do not apply over here.
But you know what? I don't need to do all of that. Like, because I think that first of all, if I'm going to be in a relationship with somebody, I'm going to be their friend. Like there's going to be a standard of friendship, right?
Yeah, but it depends on how, like you said,
Right.
whether it's a betrayal, whether
doesn't
it's
matter.
lying.
Listen,
It matters.
I'm gonna tell you why.
But
It
for
doesn't. I'm
some
gonna tell you
people,
why
for
it doesn't
you, but
matter.
just when we're just speaking in general to general people, I think for more people it does matter than it
Yeah,
doesn't.
if
Right.
even
So
if
some
it's a
people-
girlfriend, if they did you dirty,
Right.
you do not want to have anything reminding
Because
you of
it
that
doesn't
person.
matter.
attach an
doesn't-
attachment
listen.
or
Yeah,
link to
absolutely.
that person.
Let me tell you
Burn it.
this. It does not matter because honestly, I think that if you say I loved a person, right, you have to bring forgiveness into play,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And if you bring forgiveness into play, looking at items, looking at gifts, looking at certain things should not bother. Maybe and initially, but you should be able to work through that. And here's the thing: this is not somebody that we're talking about you just had a fling with or whatever. I mean, we're talking about you were in a relationship where you love this person and you should have had a friendship. And even if you break up and even if it hurts, I think that there should still be some kind of common, like mutual kind of like understand. Like it shouldn't be that much pain where you can't like look at something that somebody gave you. Like it doesn't matter.
But
It
it's a
might be
process.
for some
It's a
people.
process,
But
and it
might be
depends on the circumstance.
Right. Yeah. So we just want to make sure that we're not saying that for some people that's not an okay thing to do. For some people, it might be therapeutic to say, you know what, they gave me this stuff, and I am going to burn it, or I'm going to throw it out. It might get the rage out. They might cut up the teddy bear, whatever it is. So
Right.
just understand that everybody's process is not
Yeah.
the same.
Yeah.
So they might need to do to kind of
That's
work
true.
through, some of those
I'm
feelings.
an initial
and stuff.
rage person.
We're not
I'm
in
the person that's going to
We're
try
not
to
as
hit you with the
emotionally
car.
yeah.
mature as you,
I'm-
Tiara.
No, wait a minute. I guess that's true because like I'm like the person enraged at that moment. Like if you catch
Right.
me enraged at that moment, like I might try to, I might have some regrets. But as I got
Should've been
older,
in jail.
my mama told me don't ever go to jail for nobody, right?
Mhm.
So like, I have like, done some violent things.
Right.
that
We
I
all
ask God
have.
to forgive me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
But I do think that as a mature adult, right, you should, if you have like forgiveness, like you should try to work on forgiveness.
Yeah.
Because you really can't move to the next person
Mhm.
if your way of cutting people off is just to like not deal with it.
But that's
Right,
where that
because
reflection comes
that's what the
in.
reflection
You have to
Right.
reflect on things.
Right.
But I
Because
got
how
a funny
can you
story
make-
though.
Okay.
I learned many, many years ago from my big cousin down on the end that
no.
you should never take pictures with people
Yo,
because she knows what I'm talking about. She said because if she wakes up the next day and feels like she want to be in a mindset that she never knew you, okay? She don't have no pictures and nothing, and she can just go on with life as if she never knew you. And it hit me so hard. I was like, dang, that's cold. But for real though, that could work.
See?
But
So
that was
they'll
in
take
her
the pictures
pre-life.
together?
That was definitely in her pre-life.
And if you did, I would. If you did have
She would
pictures,
cut your.
no, if you did have pictures, I get them back. Like the one that was like, we had went somewhere, we took a picture, and he had put it in his like little photo album. I knew I was gonna break. Like I knew that it was coming to an end. Girl, I went that photo album when he didn't know I got them pictures out. So much later, when he realized, he was like, "Where are the pictures from?" I said, "Listen, honey,
This
you weren't gonna add me to your
premeditated.
collection of
Exes,
women. Them
yeah.
pictures, like, you're not gonna be showing this to your next
Mhm.
girlfriend." I took those pictures out.
That is
yeah.
funny.
Oh wow. That's
Yeah.
funny.
That's my former life. So.
Okay, so we are going to move to our next segment.
Okay, all right. So this segment is brought to you by The Word with Slim. You can be sure to follow me on social media at Slim Goody with the IE_MVP1. I want to get right back to this topic, so I'm going to be very quick with the stories I have to deliver to you guys. So let's just jump right in it. Barack Obama is now halfway to receiving his EGOT. That's when a person receives an Emmy, a Grammy, an Oscar, and a Tony.
What?
So he's halfway because previously he received a Grammy for the Best Spoken Word album and just received an Emmy for the Netflix documentary Our Greatest National Parks. I don't know if you ever got a chance to watch it, but me and my son Jason, we watched it and it was awesome. It was well put together, very informative, very attractive to the eye. And he is the second president who won an Emmy. So I thought that was pretty dope to share. So
Ronald.
Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
Ronald Reagan.
Moving on, Serena Williams, as you know, she has announced that she don't like the word retire, but she's evolving from her tennis career. So this is her final appearance in the U.S. Open, and this is her favorite game to play. She advanced to the third round in a U.S. Opening, but by her winning the second round, an interview came over and interviewed her and asked her this question. And this is like just went viral. The reporter asked her, was she surprised of the impressive performance that she did to get to the third round? And she responded by saying that, I'm Serena. Like, I do this. Like, I practice well. I love tennis. I love the challenge. And it went viral. And all of her fans was attacking the reporter's question by saying that was a very stupid question to ask, because who wouldn't think that entering the court, right? So, yeah. So, sending best wishes on your future endeavors, Serena Williams. So,
Yeah. Serena.
Our last story. Russell Wilson, he is now the quarterback for the Denver Broncos. This Thursday, he signed his extended contract for 5 years for $245 million with 165 guaranteed. And that is the most lucrative agreement of guaranteed money up front in NFL history.
Wow.
So in that moment, he brought his family, and I thought, this is the point of me sharing the story, I thought that was pretty dope. He brought his wife, Sierra Williams, along with his children there to share that moment, to be up front and center. So awesome. I thought that was good. But that's all I have today. You could be sure to follow us to stay up with the latest and greatest on IG as she's_not_trendy. And yeah, so thank you.
Thank you. So we're gonna wrap up, and so the topic was, how do we move on after a breakup? I think that we shared a lot of information, but we want to talk about like these negative emotions, and seriously, like really, how do you deal with those negative emotions? So I believe that, sometimes you'll see like little scriptures and stuff like that, and in my book Rock the Light, I deal with not breakups, but just activities on how to not live in your emotions, or to allow your emotions to lead you, right? So we talk about taking something that's positive. So if you have a negative emotion of anger, so you want to find scriptures or quotes or something that you can address that negative emotion of anger and replace it with a positive thought. You can replace it with something that's going to be productive. Or when you think about a person, if that person brings you feelings of betrayal or disappointment, you want to replace what you attach to that person, with something positive, so that you're not, dwelling on a negative emotion. You're changing that energy to a positive emotion. So I know it seems really like hard to, deal with betrayal. We've all dealt with betrayal. I've dealt with betrayal, but I do think that love is our greatest power, and in that there's forgiveness, there's long suffering, there's patience, and we do have to forgive. And God, I believe God knows what God is doing, and if something's not meant to be, we should accept that, and we should move on. And Shanae had mentioned like praying for the other person. I do believe in praying for the other person. That does release that anger. Sometimes it's hard.
It's hard.
And it blesses you.
And it blesses you. But once you're able to get over that, like, you don't have to throw out their candles, or maybe the candles, but you don't have to. You like to throw those out, but you don't have to throw away or like be like angry about things they're giving you. And I think that it helps, because as you move forward to long-lasting relationships, right, you'll learn how to deal with those negative emotions, even in a positive relationship, where you have anger, or you may have some, I hope it's not betrayal, but you may have some disappointment, and you can, overcome those feelings. So that's what I suggest.
So I want to just say one thing that I don't think that we've said. Well, two things actually. One, I think we should take some time though to grieve. Like, if you feel like, now I don't want you to be in the bed for a month, but if you need to be, kind of in your room, if you need to cry, if you need to work with those feelings, those are feelings that you need to kind of like purge out. Sometimes, you just cry until you can't cry anymore. Like, you get it out. But I also think that it's important for us as a people to seek out therapy too. Like, you know, go and talk to a therapist, you know, because there might be some things that are, the therapist can not only help us with that situation, but it can also maybe help us in identifying, you know, maybe some hurts that we had when we were growing up,
Right.
or maybe some hurts that we've experienced as we grew through life, may help us to say, like, you know, who are we attracting? Because there might be some brokenness in us where we're attracting, you know, broken people, or we're attracting people who are not loyal, people who are not whatever. You know, maybe we don't really know who, maybe we think we're somebody that we are, but we're not who we really think that we are to the world. Like what we think we are about ourselves, that's not what we project to the world. So therapy can also help you through some of those things. So, you know, I know sometimes Black people, we're doing better, but Black people need to move into a place where they feel comfortable with, you know, getting some therapy.
Absolutely. And taking constructive criticism, you know, and really, you know, taking that constructive criticism. And I think like fear, you know, like my sister, she always jokes and always says like I like, you know, people that aren't good for me. And I always had, no, I mean, really, she does. Yeah. I mean, she really does.
You always do better.
And and I think it's because sometimes, you know, you may, I don't know how to really put it, but sometimes it can be, we can have one reasoning why we choose certain people, and somebody else from the outside could see why you choose certain people for other reasons, right? I think just like taking it all in account, you know, and like really taking constructive criticism so that you can kind of like see how you perceive yourself and how others perceive you. So I think that's really good.
Yeah. And then maybe moving forward too, like in your relationships, moving forward, like set a standard. Like say, did I have a standard, you know, for myself? Did I, you know, did I have a standard? Because sometimes we can, you know, we can avoid some hurts in the first place if we just have a standard, you know. You know, if somebody's coming to you and, you know, they had, you know, they've been married 3 times and, you know, 3 different baby mamas, they might be a wonderful person and maybe they just chosen wrong every time. But it also might be a red flag that, you know, this person needs to go through their own therapy and their own process. So now you might just be a compassionate person, you know, or, you know, an empath, and you're thinking, you know, I just want to, you know, help this person. I just want to love this person. But maybe that's not a good choice.
It's not.
Because maybe you need to allow people to go ahead and love themselves and get themselves together. You know, so maybe sometimes, you know, when we're reflecting why things didn't work, we need to look at our own standard.
But I think also that you have to realize just because someone comes to you, you could have like a healer, you know, type personality, but every man that comes to you, you should not be thinking, oh, he's my man, and that I can heal him or I need to get into a relationship with him. I think like you can realize, okay, he's broken, you know, as a friend, like even if you met a, you know, a woman friend and she was broken and had some issues, you're not, I mean, I don't, well, okay.
We're not.
Right. We're not. But you're going to plan to sleep with him. But why do women also think that, hey, I got to sleep with a man because he wants to be my man? You can say, hey, listen, you're really a really nice person. I think what we do as women, we make the mistake of sleeping with them. There's nothing wrong with being their friend and saying, hey, listen, we can talk and, you know, treat them as a woman friend. You know, like you'll talk to them, you'll try to walk them through their problems and their issues. But you're absolutely right. Set some boundaries. Say, hey, listen, at this present point in time, if you're not on the same page or the things that I want, then, you know, don't look at them as dating material, you know. So.
And to Nikki's point, but I want to just caution to say that sex is not always as powerful as words. So when you set boundaries, you also have to set boundaries what you allow people to say to you and what you allow people to profess. And like a lot of people lie. I'm sorry to say it, but they do. Like a lot. Like words are very powerful, right? So like words can be more powerful to me than sex, right? So if somebody is saying like, I love you, I want to be with you, all these different things, you have to also set standards to say, hold up, why would this person want all of this from me? They don't know me, you know? So you have to kind of like shut people down. Well, I'm talking about like, you know, in a reasonable time. Like so when people are coming at you with powerful words.
Loving first, like,
I think differently.
And I think
a man can love you from the first time that he meets you.
Well, that's possible. But if he's going to love you, listen, if he's going to love you, he's going to love you. But here's the thing. I think that we have to shut down some conversation that's coming toward us. And you have to set boundaries with the conversation because
and love someone just because.
But let me tell you, the first person that I ever loved told me they loved me for a year, and I would say don't tell me you love me. Just say you think you do. Because I'm saying, I don't know if I want to believe all of this. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, like, I'm not saying to make it a year. I'm a little extreme. I'm a little extreme. People be telling me like, you will get blocked, cut off. You telling me some stuff. But I'm just saying, like, I think you have to, sex is not the only standard we have to set. We have to also set, we should set it with sex, but also with words. We should not allow people just to say a lot of powerful words to us.
So
you know?
what are some examples?
I mean, I'm just asking, like, why not? Like, I don't mind if you tell me that you love me. Why should, if that's your emotion, that's how you feel.
I think it depends.
It depends on the
so
powerful
if
words.
I'm hoping that what Tiara is saying is like, you know, I met you on Friday,
Right.
and now it's Sunday.
Right.
Like, baby, I love you so much. Well, yeah, that's not.
Or baby,
likely.
I've never been in love. I want to be married.
You know,
Like, we have to
all
shut
that,
some of that
that's
stuff
not
down.
Well,
right.
how do you shut it down?
Like,
just give it
I actually, if somebody started talking to me about those things,
2 days
to me,
later,
it's a
that's
standard,
yeah.
right? I'm not. I don't even want to talk to you.
Right.
anymore.
Yeah,
'Cause I don't
that's
trust
weird.
you.
It's
Right.
weird.
It's not. It's,
Yeah.
That's a
that
little
means you just have
strange.
to me,
Yeah.
that's
2 days
one
later.
goal.
Do you just
Is
go
it-
ghost? Do you just
Yeah,
like,
yeah, I would just go
Okay.
ghost. So I would
Ghost.
say, you know, I really
I
don't
had
like
some
this.
of my
so
best
I-
relationships
no.
from
I don't
my
even like flattery.
I mean, no, I'm for real. I had
Ghost.
Well,
no,
listen.
like for
Maybe,
be your best.
but you may be an
Some-
exception. But I'm saying I don't even
Yeah,
like a lot
most
of
people.
flattery. Like, I shut all of that stuff down
Can't
because
get rid
I think. But real people will
She said
continue to
real-
show up.
real
Real people will
people.
continue to show up, right? And they will respect that you have a standard about what is being said to you, right? So I'm just saying, for me, I can't speak for any. I'm just
I don't
trying to
think
give
that's running
helpful
game.
tips. I'm just
Right.
trying to give helpful tips to women out here.
Yeah.
Because when I became single in my mid 30s, one thing that I noticed was that a lot of men had never been in love. A lot of men had wanted to get married, and I was very confused by this because I always had girlfriends that was like 10 years older. And I'm like, they can't find a man. They can't find a relationship to lead to marriage.
Well-
and why do all of these men, you know, and I realized that this is like a game, right? That these men
They're saying what
play
they think you want to
because
hear.
they
Right.
think that you're 35 and older, and they think you want to hear these things. And I think that, I'm not saying that none of them are true.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that I think you have to guard yourself with powerful words that are coming from men, and it's not any real justification for it. You don't feel the same way about it. That person, you haven't even thought about that person in that light, and now this person is telling you all these powerful things, because I think words carry a lot of power. And listen, you'll sit back and think about, let's say you have a healthy relationship that comes to an end. One of the biggest things you have to battle is the things in your mind. I mean, you may think back, God forgive me, on some great nights, but most of the things you're going to think back on is the communication that the two of you shared together, and some of the things that he promised you, some of the things you promised him, some of the conversations you had. Those are very
what's
powerful.
wrong with thinking about? So if a man told you love, that's why you need these boundaries and these standards, because and then you need to be strong. Like, I feel as though, like, as women, we
That's why I
we're
shut
too
it down.
emotional, right? We're too emotional, and what's wrong with it?
But that's not. I'm not being emotional.
emotional.
I mean, I
think
don't
it's
know.
a
I mean, it's a boundary
I
that
think you're talking about two different
Right.
times in life. Like,
Right.
you're talking about when you're much younger, you know, and like, you know,
even now, if some man came up to me and told me that he loves me, what's wrong with saying that? I don't have to reciprocate and say that I love you back. But what's wrong with that if he really honestly feels that way?
How
And his
can you
actions
feel that way?
Because we're energy. I really believe that we're energy and we're spirits. And because of
Okay.
past history
Well,
for
I'm
me,
just-
it's not out of the norm for someone to say, "Hey,
don't anybody come up to my sister on the street telling her that you love her.
Exactly.
Okay? Don't.
Listen,
Don't.
I'm just trying to
What?
give tips for the mass majority of people,
Right.
and I'm saying the
Nikki,
majority
we're
of
the
people.
exception.
we're
It's
the
okay.
exception."
We're the
Okay.
exception.
So I'm gonna sit back and let her talk.
I think that for the mass majority of people, I'm just saying you have to, when you're talking about guarding yourself
Yeah.
with standards, you
Yeah,
have to
a
guard
healthy
yourself
boundary and
with
standard.
healthy
Yeah.
boundaries, right? Because people will use what works, right? And they
Yes.
won't
I
do the
tell
work. And so I think that it's nothing wrong with a man
I'm just
loving you or
disappointed.
saying that he loves you.
Let's
right?
hear what Nikki said.
Yes, Nikki, go
No,
ahead.
I'm okay with it. I mean, I tell people that I love them. Like, I have a coworker. I don't know this woman that much, but because her heart is great.
That's so
No,
bad.
no,
You're
no.
not trying to marry that
I
person.
know it's not the same type of. That's why I'm saying, if someone's broken, you should be able to say in your spirit, you can see their brokenness, right? So if even they're telling them that you love them, I just think that, hey, I don't treat a man no different than a woman. I mean, of course, I'm not sleeping with no woman, but at the end of the day, we're all human. I think that you just put it into this big picture, but I do what you're.
But men are running a lot of game. That's
but
what
you
I'm
should
trying
be
to say.
at my age. You should be gamed on the game.
That's what I'm telling you. Don't. That's what I'm telling you.
So
Do
let
not
her talk.
disrespect me like that.
Why is it disrespect?
Because it's because you playing.
Okay, so this is what's
happening.
I'm not gonna get up.
Kim.
This is what's happening. So, Nikki, that is the exception, right?
Okay.
And if that has happened to you and if that's how you operate,
Right.
okay, fine. I don't think there's one box that everybody fits into.
Absolutely
Right.
What
not.
Tiara's trying to do is give for the masses
Yes.
some tips and tools for them to follow, to help them in that predicament. But it doesn't mean that your situation or my
But
situation,
I'm
that
just
it
saying,
doesn't
in
happen.
general, why does a man have to stop telling you that he loves you?
She said,
why can't you not?
Because she's
When the
just trying to
person
give like
doesn't love you.
advice for the
She-
masses.
I'm saying when
saying-
a person truly does not love you, and you know that you've given him no reason to love you. You've given him no reason.
But it could be a spiritual connection.
Oh, yeah.
It's what Nikki said. It could be a spiritual
be-
connection.
But here's the thing. I think even in like, and most of the time, even when a man is serious about you, and like, you know, a lot of times I think men know in a couple of months, like, do they want to marry you or not? They know.
In a
They
couple of
do.
months?
Yeah, they
Yeah,
know
they
if they want to marry you in a couple of months or not. They know.
You know, from
when
the
they
first time they
when they
meet
first
you.
meet
We
you,
know
they
what
put
they
you
want.
They
in
might put you in a
they look
category.
at you. They look at you and they put you in a category. Now, you can go down. It's real hard to go up. So if they look at you and say, "Hey, you know what? I just want to hook up with this person," then that's where their mind is going. Okay, their mind is going hooking up. It's going to be very hard for you to elevate their opinion. But they could look at you, could look classy, could look nice, and they could say, "You know what? She might be somebody I want to get to know." And you start talking, you start behaving a certain way, they drop you down.
Right.
So now you in this relationship, and you meet the person. What Tiara is trying to say is, back up. You meet a person on Friday, here they are on Monday, and they talking about, "Baby, I love you, I love you, I love you." Even men who really have looked at you and said, "Look, this person might have some potential," if they really believe that, if that's a responsible man, he's going to guard his heart too, I think, to some point where he might know he likes you, he might be vibing off of you, but he is not going to tell you, "Baby, I love you, and start kicking on that to you. And
See, when you put the baby, that's
Right,
game.
right,
That's
that's
a game.
game.
But he can actually have a
but most of
spiritual
the time-
connection with
See,
you.
what Nikki's talking about.
I'm talking about
not-
like now. Why are we not spiritually able to say and balance out that we know then this is game? So what's the difference if they
are.
Which that's what Tara's
That's
saying.
what I'm
If she
saying.
knows this game, why are you allowing me to pour this foolishness into you? Because see, here's what happens.
Right.
What happens is you keep hearing it, and you hearing it. You 35 years old, or you 40 years old, and you want to get married, and this guy's talking about, "Baby, I love you. You know, I want to get married. Maybe one day me and you get married, and we do this, we do that." And you are hoping, based on what he is saying, and so when he start doing these other things that might be like a little bit off, you don't necessarily walk away from him because
You're holding on to the
hoping-
words.
You're holding on to
Yes.
those words that he has sown.
Absolutely.
So
he
at
has sown
35
in
years
you.
old and 40 and 35 and on up, and if this man's actions does not line up,
But
why
they
are
line it up
we not?
sometimes.
But what I'm
They
saying,
line it
what
up
she's saying
sometimes,
is, it's a
possibly.
red flag,
red
just
flag.
in general
Mhm.
when the person hasn't had a chance to really get to know you. That's more than likely a red flag. And if
Yes.
we are talking about like healing and moving to the next thing, then we're talking about red flags too here. Like like, hey, why am I going to move out of this last situation I was in and move into a relationship with somebody, and this person is telling me right from the beginning, they don't know anything about me, "Hey, I want to get married. Hey, I love you." That person is not likely, 99% of the time, that guy does not feel that way.
Right.
And if he does, he's not going to share. I'm pretty sure that my husband knew that we were going to get married, but he certainly was not going around talking about, "I love you, I love you, I love you," a couple of days when, we start dating, because you're going to guard yourself
Yeah.
anyway. And you're gonna keep watching, and they're gonna watch, and they're gonna make moves, right? And at some point, when he starts to, you'll go out and y'all together, he identifies you as his lady, his woman. Different things are gonna happen. I think before he starts talking about he loves you, you're gonna see different steps along the way. Once you've seen some of those things along the way, and it's plausible that he loves you, we're not saying that you shut that down. Right? You can accept that at that point, and you keep watching to
Right.
see what's going to
I'm
continue
not saying
to happen.
that you should just
Now,
Right, I'm saying that you can shut it down, but don't take out the fact that, hey, some man cannot just say, hey, he met you on Friday and by Sunday that he can love you. But I understand what you're saying now, like for the
For
for
the
the
masses.
majority of it, yes.
For the majority.
And that I am a man.
What you going to say?
Well, I'm gonna tell you because I understand everybody's point of view because we think differently. Like, say I know a certain man that if he wanted you, like say if he wanted just to get your stuff, he would tell you that. But I know other men, like say the reason why you won't really get it, Nikki, because a man will automatically tell you because of your personality. If they loved you on first sight, which I have, loved somebody on first sight the same day, I felt the same way I felt about us 7 years later, they will tell you because of the fact that you make them feel comfortable to tell you.
A safe space.
But if I didn't feel safe, I'm not telling nobody that. So that means that if I'm dealing with somebody and I feel like, I'm like, no, I ain't telling her this. She gonna think I'm crazy.
But let me ask
Right.
you this. If you did feel that way and you expressed it and that person said, listen, don't be telling me that, whatever, you would, a man that really felt that way, he's still going to continue to say, you know, I'm not going to tell her that anymore, but let me do
Show
other
her.
things. So you still are
Maybe,
that
maybe.
woman.
It depends on how it was expressed because
Right.
that would rip my heart to pieces, right?
But
so
the
it
first
really
day
just
or the
depends
first
on,
3 days is
But
going to rip your heart
all
to
men ain't the
pieces.
same. The average man is not going to say that, right?
Right.
The average man is too tough to even give you that vulnerability. The
Right.
dude, the dude that will tell you that really means it, he's destroyed. Right? That don't mean that because he was soft enough to tell you in the first
But
place.
I don't believe he's
and he
destroyed.
was
I don't
he
think
was
he-
he was
I don't believe
he
he's
was he was
destroyed.
high.
He's destroyed
This is a
from
mama's
your-
boy.
from your
this is
answer.
a dude that this is a dude that's a hopeless romantic, right?
Yeah.
Other than that, this other guy could love you, but he ain't gonna tell you. He'll be trying to guard it. But it's like that guy, it's one guy that couldn't handle it. It's some guys that could handle it. But that soft guy that's that romantic, just like you're romantic, when depending on how you said it, like if you said it like, well, I don't want you to say that if you don't really feel like, if it was soft like that, then he could take it because he could put in his mind that, oh, you just saying that because you don't want him to, you know, to like make you feel. But if it sound like aggressive, like almost like you don't believe him, you think he a liar.
Like dagger through his heart. Like you don't want to.
But wouldn't a reasonable adult man know that he's taking a chance or telling something to someone who may not believe him because there has been no time. So even if that person said it in a nice way, like I don't really believe you or whatever, how like that to me. How much could you have really loved me if that's just going to crush you and you're going to walk away?
That's the fact that you cried, that he loves you.
You fall out of it. It's not real.
Right.
So it's like the in love phenomenon is high infatuation. So you fall in it, you fall out of it. It ain't like true love. You done burnt yourself, your face burnt up, and they still love you. That's the love that you have for your child, the love you have for your husband.
Right.
But the in love stuff is that high infatuation, so that some people maintain that love through their life, but that's something that you can fall in and fall out. So somebody can love you at first sight.
I think you can be in love with somebody and still walk away from that person, but have that feeling of chemistry with that person.
Yeah, sometimes you have to.
I mean, sometimes you have to. So I don't necessarily think that you have to fall out of love. I believe people can be in love for the endurance of a relationship. I believe that you can be in love with somebody and walk away from somebody that you were in love with because it's not a good relationship for you, but it doesn't mean you fell out of love. You just made a good choice for yourself.
But some people don't have that high infatuation no more. When I say fall out of love, but
some people do have infatuation. But I do. But I guess we were just trying to give points and tips to people. You know, I mean, whatever works for you.
I think it's important to hear the man's side because it sounds like to me what he's saying is like, yes, most men, if I heard it right, are not going to tell you, even if they feel that they're not going to tell you because they're going to guard themselves, that they really are like, you know, in love with you if they, you know, right up front like that. So it's the exceptions.
There is the exceptions.
But then he also said, then listen, the guy who was going to tell you might be broken. You know, like he might be saying that he's telling you this and he's waiting for you to say, oh, baby, I love you too. And to me that does sound very unhealthy. You know, like unless you.
Well, I thought he was saying that what broke him was her declining it.
Right.
You were saying
also. I think. Well, what did you say? Like the guy that's telling you in the first place.
The one that's telling you is a hopeless romantic.
Yeah.
He's almost, he has certain tendencies, some kind of way he grew up with some of his females, but he's not gay enough, and he just believe in that romance stuff. So him, when he see you, from the second he sees you, he already feel the same way he felt 7 years later. And when you open your mouth, that's when it starts to decrease.
That could damage him. That's what he's saying.
Or go the other way. He's soft. He ain't like that. To a woman, he might be brutal to a guy, but to a woman, this dude is like, he didn't watch the same movies you watch. He cried when he watched a romantic.
I don't think a man with emotions is soft.
I know him.
I don't think a man with emotions is a soft man. Yeah. I just think that I just think that there is a standard of communication that I prefer. I don't, if a person's telling me things, that's going to make me put more red flags up and guard myself even more with a person. So even if it's maybe like in a good time, but it's just going to cause me to have more red flags.
Yeah.
So
I just believe you seek out the best process, the healthiest process that you think will work for you.
Yeah,
that's the bottom line. It's no one box and everything fits in that one box. Everyone's an individual, and their process in it, especially depending on what happened initially, it's going to be slightly different. But definitely, seek healthy practices like prayer, positive music, watch what you watch on television, surround yourself with people that's going to uplift you and keep you encouraged and inspired, all of those healthy practices, self-care. Self-care is very important. And a little retail therapy never hurt, like for real though. Retail therapy has helped me personally out of, some tough spaces. So do what works for you. That's a healthy practice.
Yes. Right. So thank you guys. We're going to wrap up.
Can we say one more thing?
Yeah.
One more thing. Since this is, we all Christians, the reality is when you move to the next relationship, maybe you should keep your cookies to yourself.
In the jar.
You actually get married.
In the jar.
Put on the show. Don't forget that's another show. Thank you for joining us. She's Not Trendy. Facebook and the Coyote Man Show Network on Facebook, as well as CoyoteManShowOnline.com. Thank you.
All right.